Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up, hey. 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 Way down in the back.
We are live, and it is a fantastic day, Zach. It's opening day of college baseball, one of the most anticipated days on the sports calendar. College baseball gets kicked off, and obviously the defending national champions, the LSU Tigers, open their season as well. We're really pumped about this season to see, with all the turnover, what's this team going to be like following what happened last season. But college baseball has started. We'll give you our thoughts on today's game with VMI and how that went. And we'll look forward to the rest of the weekend as well. We'll give you a little bit of kind of our thoughts on the seasons and how that will play out, and where we may end up, whether we think, we're repeating, we're going back to back, or whether we're, like a super regional exit. That we'll give you our thoughts on that. And then, of course, we'll give you a basketball hoops recap, and got a game as well tomorrow for the men. The women kind of had the week off, but we'll give you a little recap on the hoops of this past week and what they did. So, Zach, Virginia Military Institute is the LSU Tigers' first opponent.
Pretty good. Pretty good team.
And hey, man, Ben McDonald and Lynn Rollins were speaking before the game about how potent their offense is, and they weren't lying, man. They were not lying. The Keydets came to play, man.
I don't know what that is. What's a Keydet?
Well, they were literally discussing that on the coverage, and were trying to figure out where Keydets came from. And it was supposedly there was two possible answers. One of them was like Keydet was like a color or a name of one of their uniforms from long ago, and it just kind of stuck, the Keydets. Or it was just a Southern twang to cadets, because obviously it's a military institute, it's a military college. So I lean towards the Southern twang side. I don't know the story behind the uniform or what that was, but if I had to guess, they were the cadets, but everybody was saying the Keydets, and that's where that came from. That's, I think, probably the most logical thing. But it's the Keydets. We played the Keydets today, and they were right. I mean, their analysis of their style of play was absolutely accurate. And they, man, Zach, they came ready to play. So, Zach, I want to real quickly kind of discuss the day of baseball a little bit. Well, maybe some of the SEC, and then then we'll kind of get our initial thoughts coming off the game against VMI. So, Zach, currently, right now, and I have the game running on my phone. And the game is over. Florida,
the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah, the number 2 team in the country just lost their home opener against St. John's. I hate Florida, so that makes me really happy. But here's the reality.
Ended last season with a loss. Started this season with a loss.
You started just how you ended. So, anyways, the Florida Gators just took a loss. Zach, around baseball, which obviously LSU, they at times the game was a little dicey. They trailed in several innings, but as fans, we don't need to overreact. We don't need to jump to conclusions because if you look across the board when it comes to college baseball, number one, college baseball in general is just more competitive. Number two, what's up, Ryan? Appreciate you being in here. Number two, hey, Michael Bowen from Jones Boogie, Arkansas. Jonesboro. Glad you're in here, Mike. Good to see you, buddy. Um, Baseball tends to be more competitive, but it's also the first game of the season. So you got to knock the rust off. And that's kind of what I wanted to point to. Like, Florida just lost, and I love that they just lost their home opener. But the reality is, Florida's going to be a really stinking good team this year, regardless of them just losing. It sucks to be a Florida Gator. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's really stinks to lose in the national championship. So it felt really good to get our get back from the loss to Florida. Was it 2011? I'm drawing a blank. Why am I drawing
2017, bro. Come on, man.
I'm thinking of LSU versus Bama. I don't know why I was 2017. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It felt really nice to get that get back on the team that literally beat us. Anyways, so the point being though, I can't stand the Florida Gators, but they're a really good team. They just lost their home opener. Not that big, right? LSU, they're struggling a little bit in the game. You go watch the Arkansas game, James Madison, there was struggle as well. You look at the Mississippi State game, they were struggling early and down to Air Force early. Currently, right now, Texas is losing to San Diego in their home opener, and Texas is ranked in the top 10. So here's the reality. Yes, was it a bit of a kind of a battle today? Absolutely. But I think that's really good for our team in particular. It's really good for every team that opens up with a game like that. It's not just a complete blowout. It's a reality check. Okay, we're here. It's the season opener. This isn't inter squad competition anymore. This is the real deal. So I love the competition, but let's not overreact and act like, it's the worst thing ever. Thatcher Hurd. It could never be a Friday night starter or whatever the thought may be, right, Zach? So, Zach, give me your initial thoughts coming off the game with VMI. What did you like? What did you not like? Give us your general thoughts from today.
I'll start with the positive. Reagan, I tend to be more positive most of the time, but I really liked what I saw from the veteran players. Josh Pearson, Hayden Travinsky, Jared Jones looked really good as well. I like what I saw from the freshman Jake Brown, but really, I think my player of the game, and this kind of validates it. I just got back home and saw on Twitter that he was awarded the Magic Moment by Jay Johnson, and so Mac Bingham was my player of the game for sure. Yeah. He just came up in really clutch moments. Yeah. You had the inning where you had taken the lead because of all the hits. I mean, they hit 5 guys, hit by pitch 5 times in the 6th inning. And, you're like happy with that because you're scoring, right? Right. But in the same instance, you're like, okay, we just need a big hit. Like, we just need a big hit.
We need a breakthrough.
And there's a lot of moments in baseball where you don't get that. You don't get that, You're just like, we just need to break through this inning. We need to capitalize on what VMI has given us. And Mac Bingham did that, man. He had 3 hits. I think he had 3 hits he had 2 hits on the day. He was 2 for 3. Just really solid at the plate, very self-disciplined at the plate. So Mac Bingham, Josh Pearson looked phenomenal as well. I know one of those hits was controversial with him, running, it was a bang play at first base, and they did the replay and everything, and ultimately it stood. To be honest, I kind of thought it was out. Anyways, but he's got an extra hit in there with that play. He had the big double as
Yeah.
well. Hayden Travinsky looked phenomenal. Hayden Travinsky actually had 3 hits on the day. He was 3 for 4. Obviously had
Yep.
the big home run in the 8th inning that kind of gave you a little bit more cushion going into the 9th. So, yeah, the veteran guys look good. The only veteran guy that didn't have a great day was Tommy. Tommy went 0 for 4. He had 2 moments where he could have really come in the clutch and delivered for LSU, just didn't. I'm not going to overreact to that in any way, but because we know what Tommy can do. I mean, right? We know what he
Yeah.
can do
And
from
in,
last
and in
year.
one of them, the very first pitch, he was hitting the back. So
Exactly. He did have a hit by pitch. Tommy's going to be fine. I'm not worried about Tommy at all. So as far as hitting wise, I think LSU, they kind of picked up where they left off. I mean, 11 runs on the game.
yep.
I understand it's a lesser opponent. You got guys where their fastballs are, upper 80s, low 90s, anywhere from mid 90s mid 80s to low 90s.
Yeah.
So the pitching you're facing, but I mean, they're so used to seeing 90 plus, that's tough for a hitter when you have to go out and face a guy that's throwing mid 80s. So, I thought they looked phenomenal. I think the offense definitely, that was probably the biggest question mark going into this season because of who you lost from last season on the national championship team. So it's like, hey, where are we going to find our offense? You knew you had Tommy, and you knew you had young guys that obviously had pretty good first seasons in their freshman year with Paxton Kling and obviously Bear Jones. So what is Mac Bingham going to do as he transfers in from Arizona? Is Milazzo going to take another step up after he looked really good last year hitting wise?
Right.
How does Micah Braswell look? Micah Braswell really didn't have a good day, but he did what was necessary. I mean, he laid down a bunt, he had a sac fly that advanced the runner. So I know he didn't get a hit, but he definitely made an impact on the game as well defensively. So hitting, I think LSU is going to be pretty good, and that might be a little bit of an overreaction with the opponent they were facing, but I think the offense, considering you have Jay Johnson and Wanako behind this offense, I think LSU is going to be just fine when it comes to scoring runs. And we've also seen throughout the last 2 seasons in the past that Jay Johnson is willing to adapt and how they manufacture runs. And so I'm really excited for this offense the rest of the season. As far as pitching goes, look, I know a lot of people are going to I know there was a lot of fans that overreacted to Thatcher Hurd. I thought he looked really good in the first 2 2/3 innings.
Yeah.
I thought he looked like the Thatcher Hurd from last season. And then you just kind of had, you had the walk, and then you had the balk, and then you had that hit, and that's kind of where things unraveled for him.
Right.
But I mean, if you think about it, if you're able to get out of that if you're able to get out of that 3rd inning, I think he would have been perfectly fine to go another inning or 2 innings. So it just kind of unraveled for him there in the 3rd, and it's not really necessary right now in this type of season to try and leave him in there and work things out. I think you want to get some other guys in there, get some work. Obviously, you saw Justin Lohr come in. I thought Justin looked okay. He worked an inning and a 3rd, and he recorded. I think he recorded 1 strikeout. But I think he looked really good. His stuff looks really good. So we'll see how he progresses the rest of the season. Gavin Guidry came in, gave you 2 outs and had a strikeout there as well. His breaking ball continues to be ferocious. But really the biggest story pitching wise on the day was Nate Ackenhausen. And Nate Ackenhausen looked really, really good. He had 6 strikeouts for you in only 3 innings. He was recording 2 strikeouts an inning. He came in, settled things down, put up some zeros when you really needed it, especially when VMI had taken the lead. And so, Ackenhausen looks like he is going to be an extremely, extremely reliable bullpen guy, as he was counted on last year. And then Gage Jumpman, dude, he only pitched for an inning, but he looks like he could potentially have the best arm on the team. I mean, the stuff is just really good. And I know we didn't get a chance to do our preview of the pitching. Reagan went on a date night this past Thursday night, and Monday we weren't able to go. But man, dude, it was really, really, really good to see Gage jump. And I know he had kind of dealt with a little bit of an injury, nothing major, but a small injury heading into this season. He looked fine, man. I mean, as you mentioned to me, I asked you because I was at work when the game was going on. I asked you, what was the fastest that he hit, on his pitches, and I think you said it was 96.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, it was 96.
Gage jump. I mean, with the stuff that he has pitching wise, I mean, he could be a Friday night guy,
Yeah.
and obviously Thatcher is going to be your workhorse. He's going to be your ace. And then Luke Holman, we're going to get to see him tomorrow and see how he fares. But really excited about the starting rotation. I understand it's a little disappointing because Thatcher gave up those 4 runs, but he had 4 Ks. He had 4 Ks through 2 and 2/3 inning. So a little bit of inconsistency there. I expect as the season progresses, he'll be fine.
And I agree. I do. But, with Gage coming off Tommy Johns, he missed last season. I think they're going to take it a little slow, maybe kind of work him into things.
Might be a little bit different situation, but similar to that I'm going blank. Ty Floyd last year. Ty Floyd didn't start the first weekend of last year, and then he became your number 2 and a really, really freaking good number 2.
Yeah.
And so they kind of worked him in as the season progressed, and probably you see something similar with Gage Jump, but just with him having to deal with the injury.
Yeah, I would agree. I think eventually Gage finds himself in a probably the weekend rotation. I think which you look at last year's hack, and we started Paul Skeens, and then did we go to Chase Shores on Saturday?
No, we went to Riley Cooper.
And then Sunday was Chase Shores.
Correct.
And then you saw how it ended up playing out in the end. So certainly you don't say look at this and say, all right, this is it. Like there's going to be changes and they're going to work guys in and bring guys up to speed. And with Gage, I think he's going to be so crucial to our pitching staff, especially when we're getting into SEC play. I think it's that we really need to work him in and eventually get him in that rotation. And Zach, I think some form or fashion, we're going to see Hurd, Holman, and Jump. I wouldn't be surprised, and this may be a little crazy, but if one of them just, let's say Thatcher continues to struggle or something like that, whatever it may be. If Ackenhausen keeps throwing like that, maybe he could work himself into Sunday or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, we got the freshman Cam Johnson. Justin Lure maybe could extend. He was a starter at Xavier last year. So there's definitely options, that there's a lot of arms. It really is. And that's one of the positives of this year's team is there's just a lot of arms that you can play with. And you've got I think 8 left-handed pitchers, 9 left-handed pitchers, something like that. Griffin Herring could find himself in a starting rotation somewhere if it plays out right, and if he's the hot hand. There's several guys that Jay has alluded to that, man, it's like this guy could be a starter. That definitely could happen. So don't take this weekend and say, well, this is it, because there's just a lot of guys on this staff that I think could contribute in multiple ways. They really could.
Yeah.
But man, Gage, when he came in the 9th inning to close it out, it was evident that he just kind of commanded that inning. He had control of his stuff. It looked like he had control of his stuff. He was poised. It was, dude, his strikes were just potent. It just felt like they were popping the mitt a little extra. His breaking ball was pitched for a strike. And he's a 4-pitch guy. So, he's got a changeup, he's got a breaking ball, he's got a curveball, he's got a fastball. So I would expect us down the road, maybe a couple weekends from now, seeing him on the weekend somewhere. So
who knows? You may see him come back this weekend and start on Monday or Sunday.
right, yeah, he only had a few pitches, so maybe they're just warming him up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he only
definitely
threw,
could
I
be
think,
used.
11 pitches.
Yeah, he certainly could be used again at some point in this weekend, Sunday, Monday, for sure. But my thoughts, Zach, I think it was a solid first game. You got the win. You faced some adversity, which I think you need to. I think you need to be punched in the mouth a time or two to be able to say, okay, we took that punch, but we got back from it, right? We faced some adversity. We couldn't felt like get the last out because like six. I know at least six
Oh,
of
yeah,
their
like,
runs.
almost all yeah, a bunch of
Almost
the
all
runs
of the runs came
came
on
in
2
2 outs.
outs.
Yeah.
On 2 outs. It was 2-out rallies. I know 4 of them came in 1 inning on 2 outs, and it was after Thatcher Hurd had kind of put the first 2 batters right up and right down. So you faced some adversity, you got punched in the mouth, and you responded. I think that was really good for a first day game. And of course, you had flashes from Jared Jones and Travinsky and of course Bingham and Kling, who I think are going to be those 4 guys right there are just going to be really solid this year. I think are poised to have great years. Man, the freshman Jake Brown. Dude, he's stepping in the box. He looks like he's a junior. He looks like he's a junior. He is. He does not look like a freshman at
No.
all. He looks ready like right now. He got one pop fly out in right field, and it was kind of shallow right field. He kind of took control, called everybody off, made the play, no problem, cool, calm, collected. He stepped in the box his very first at bat, first pitch, and sends it right back up the middle. Just seemed to take really mature at bats, and I really like what I saw from Jake Brown. Jake Brown is going to be a star at LSU. He really is. And look, that's 2 years in a row that you've got the number 1 player in the state of Louisiana, and they come in and contributed immediately in big ways. Obviously, Gavin Guidry was the number 1 player in the state, comes in as a true freshman, probably most likely going to play in the infield and maybe take a backup role for the time being until Jordan steps away. We have the injury to Garrett Edwards and Chase Shores, and suddenly we're really short on bullpen arms, and we know he pitches, and he's like, whatever I need to do to make the team win. And Gavin Guidry picks up the ball, and Gavin Guidry pitched the last pitch last year in the national championship.
Mhm.
This year, you have number 1 player in the state, Jake Brown, comes in. He's starting in right field immediately, and he just clearly seems like he's the guy. So I'm really excited about his future. Matt Bingham is probably a one and done. I'm pretty sure this is his last
Yeah,
year of eligibility.
it's his 5th year.
Man, his swing, I was telling you this, reminds me of Trey Morgan's so much. His stance clearly is not the same. I mean, when you see Mac kind of standing in the box, he's just like straight up. Like he's just a stick almost. Trey wasn't that way, and obviously Mac is also a right-handed batter compared to Trey being a left-handed. But his swing is so flat. His swing stays in the zone for a long time, it feels like. And those hits that he had were great. I mean, he literally had, I think, 2 of the highest velocity hits of the day, according to LSU baseball data. And they, none of them went out of the park. They were just really solid, fundamental, keep the bat in the zone, swing level, and made solid contact. And like you were saying, in a moment where it was like, all right, we've got some runs, we got the lead, but we haven't had that breakthrough hit. It's been really VMI's error and not our success.
Yeah.
Mac Bingham steps up and puts one down the line, double off, just a solid hit out to left field, and brings in 2 runs, and really, really sparked it. Right, you got it to 8-6, and that then pushed it to 10-6, and it felt like, okay, this is where we command this game, and we commanded it from that point forward. So that was absolutely crucial. And the reality is, Mac Bingham is a veteran. He's going to bring a veteran presence to this team. He's experienced. He's played with Jay before his freshman year at Arizona. Played with Jay. So he's going to be. I think he's going to be a solid addition to this team. And so I was excited about Jake and Mac Bingham specifically. And man, even Kling looks really good in the center field, and also had a double himself that drove in 2 runs as well. So I'm just, man, the team has clear talent, and what's so exciting, and this is honestly like my thoughts, my takeaway from today. Man, we had a lot that we messed up, but we still scored 11 runs.
2 errors, man.
2
errors also.
The pitching, obviously we had to go through a couple arms because we didn't get to extend like we wanted to. My point that I'm trying to make is this team was really good, and they can be even better. They can be way, way better than what they were today. You had, like, we have hardly talked, like you said, about Tommy Tanks because he had an 0 for day, and you still scored 11 runs.
Yeah, that's wild.
So, like,
that's a good point you make.
Yeah, you scored 11 runs, and he didn't contribute anything other than he got hit by a pitch, and that scored a run. And he didn't want that, obviously. He clearly did not want that.
Oh, yeah, he's pissed whenever he is having to take a base. Whether it's a walk or hit by pitch or whatever. Or intentional walk.
Wears it on his sleeve. He wears it on his sleeve, man.
He is not happy about it.
So the point being is this. I was really happy with what I saw in the first game. You saw some adversity. They responded, but there's so much more potential for this team. There's so much growth that can be had throughout this season that it is exciting. I am very excited about what this team can be in a month or two, what they can look like when they get in the routine of playing, when we establish, okay, this is our best lineup. This is how, this player plays when we're facing this pitcher, right? Whether it be Brady Neal or Milazzo or however that works, and then when you establish your pitching rotation and what that looks like, which we need to see how the rest of the weekend plays out. There's a lot of arms we still haven't seen, so there's more to be done, and there's a lot of potential to this season. And I'm excited. Jay Johnson is a phenomenal coach, and I'm excited about what he can do with this team following the national championship. So, with that being said, Zach, what are your season, I guess, predictions, expectations? What do you think is going, with all that being said, what do you think this team can do?
Well, obviously, I know, every year, especially as an LSU baseball fan, because LSU is second in national championships all time. So obviously, every year, like LSU fans are going to the ceiling is national championship on ball,
Absolutely.
right? And that ceiling will never change for LSU baseball. I don't think it will. And so this team definitely has the potential. They definitely have the potential to repeat. I do believe that. Do I think they will repeat? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see how there's such. I mean, we're talking game one. There's a long way to go until. I mean, heading into last year, we knew like this team can win a national championship.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And they did. Ultimately, they did. Sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes you have the best team in the country, hands down, and they're the most talented team in the country, best pitchers, best hitters, and you just don't win, right?
2017.
Correct. 2017.
Yeah.
And then, but like for it to go the way that LSU, with LSU that having the expectations that they did, everybody that they had last year, for them to win the national championship, it was amazing. You can do it again this year. It's just going to look a lot different, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, the expectation, the ceiling for LSU, I do believe is Omaha. Do I believe they'll get there? I don't know yet. I'm kind of in between them getting put out in the super regional. I know this is like jumping way ahead. This is like jumping to end of the year expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know yet if I believe that they will either just get put out in the super regionals or make it Omaha. I'm somewhere in between there. I'm somewhere in between getting put out in Omaha and getting put out in the super regionals.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope they win it all again. That'd be awesome. But I'm somewhere in between there to just go ahead and jump all the way to the end. As far as like overall, like wins, well, how many wins did we have last year? 40. Somebody
Like
throw it in there.
54,
Was it over
like
50?
that. Yeah, it was definitely over 50.
Oh, yeah, 50. I'm talking about the regular season.
Oh, I'm not sure of the regular season.
I think in the regular season, they were 40-something. You have to look that up for me, Reagan. I think LSU will probably be in the 30-plus this year as far as wins goes. I think they're going to be probably mid-30s, heading into the postseason. I think that'd be a really good season for them. And I think that's a level of expectation that they definitely can hit as well. So we'll have to wait and see, how everything plays out. As far as the SEC goes, I don't think LSU is going to win the SEC. I could be wrong. I don't think they're going to win the SEC. We'll see what happens in the tournament. Anybody can win in the tournament, when it comes to the postseason and SEC play. But I think this team has the potential to be really good. I think they're definitely going to be a team that, they're very much contenders in the postseason. Let me say that.
It was 42.
Where
42 regular season wins.
42 in the regular season. Okay. What was it? What was the total?
54 total.
54 in the postseason.
12
awesome
season games.
So, yeah, I think LSU somewhere in the low 30s to mid 30s as far as wins go in the regular season. I think that's a good landing spot for them. I think that's a conservative guess. I think it's a realistic guess. Can they do better? Yeah, sure they can. But something we haven't talked about, Reagan, is the schedule for them is brutal, man. I mean, it's brutal.
Absolutely brutal.
It's going to be a very, very difficult schedule. The first, it's a lot like last year where the first half is going to be, just every weekend.
Schedule. Yeah.
Every weekend playing a ranked opponent almost. And then near the back half of the SEC schedule, it's going to lighten up with teams like Mississippi State and Auburn and Alabama.
State is actually what you open up with.
Who?
State, you actually open play up.
Who do we play on the back half? Who's the last 5? I just had it pulled up a minute ago.
Well, here's the long stretch that's really hard. You got Florida.
Yep.
In Baton Rouge, you go to Arkansas.
Oof.
Vandy comes to Baton Rouge.
Okay.
You go to Tennessee.
Oof.
To Missouri. So maybe it's not as bad as I thought.
Oh, there goes again, Reagan. There goes again. You just missed it. Hold your thumb up.
Did it go off? By the way, I found out.
Hold your finger up.
Yes,
hold your thumbs up.
Things, it does it. I have figured out what it does now. See?
There you go.
Watch. It's going to do the balloons now. Watch. I figured it out. Now watch this. Now watch this.
Oh, okay, Reagan. You can use that for our show, our podcasting.
I can even do this.
We got to do. Hold on. Pause. Mac Bingham's performance today. Okay. Thatcher Hurd's performance today. Tommy White's performance today.
Tommy White's? I mean, you making these guys thumbs down.
You gotta hold it, man. You're taking. There you go. There we go. All right. Hayden Travinsky performance today. For our viewers, or excuse me, for our listeners that do not know, last show we had, Reagan found out his new laptop has these features where if you do certain hand gestures, all these different things pop up in the background,
Emotes or something,
emotes, whatever you want to call them. And we were really thrown off by it in the last episode. And so now Reagan has found out all of the emotes that he can do with these hand gestures on his new laptop.
That's right.
And so one of the things is if you do a thumbs up, a little bubble pops up with another thumbs up, thumbs down, same thing.
Yeah.
Peace sign is some balloons, and 2 peace signs is some confetti. So you're like, what the heck is happening? There you go. That's what was happening. So
right.
anyways, continue, Reagan. I'm sorry I had to interrupt there. It was have a little fun.
You're good. But anyways, it's not a terrible stretch. Now I'm looking at it. You play Florida in Baton Rouge. You go to Baum Walker. I think that's going to be your toughest.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be your toughest.
Which Arkansas struggled today too, but like I said, I mean LSU struggled. Florida just got beat. Vanderbilt struggled.
You have Vandy. Yeah, that's the one I forgot to mention. Vandy was down 8-11 going to the bottom of the ninth and had to walk it off with a 3-run bottom of the ninth to beat who was
FAU.
it? FAU, yeah, Florida Atlantic. Vandy comes to Baton Rouge, and then you go to Knoxville. You go to there, and then that kind of ends the really tough stretch.
Which Reagan, I think if I heard correctly, we might be going to the LSU Mississippi State series in Starkville.
Yes, I absolutely plan on going to the series in Starkville. Absolutely. So hopefully you can go as well, but I am planning on that for sure. So Zach, anyways, yes, the schedule is really tough. I think it's manageable. I mean, Florida, again, not trying to overreact. Florida's going to be a great team. Florida did just lose to St. John's in their own stadium, and they got to play in Baton Rouge.
Favorable.
Which is favorable, and you get Vandy in Baton Rouge. Your toughest by far is going to Fayetteville. By far, that's going to be the toughest of the in any SEC weekend. It's going to be your toughest. You do go to Starkville, obviously. That's going to be a tough venue to play in. Man, if Lamones don't turn it around this year, he's probably gone. State's probably done with him. And some people are
for his job this year.
Yeah, some people are saying they'll be better, and maybe they will be better than what they have been. I just don't see them being what they want to be, if that makes any sense. I thought they'd be better than what they were last year, but maybe not what they wanted.
I mean, shoot, they beat us last year 2-3.
They did. That was one of the low spots of the season, actually. Anyways, my season prediction, Zach, I'm right around where I think you're at. I'm going to say to manage expectations, I'm going to say that LSU is a super regional out. I think we make it to a super regional. I think we definitely are good enough to get to a super regional and compete in a super regional. I would not be surprised in the slightest if we made it to Omaha. But for first game reaction, first game going off our first view of the team, I'll say super regional out. That's what I'll go with.
We're both kind of there.
You're just, man, you're replacing a lot of firepower. Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, Gavin Dugas, Cade Beloso, Braden Jobert. Man, that's a lot. That's a
Jordan
lot.
Thompson.
Place. But Jordan Thompson as well. But this is a very talented roster, and you're deeper in terms of your arms. So if the offense comes along and the arms are what we expect them to be, then I would think that they will be a very solid team this year. Absolutely.
Oh, Danny Girl said, I know we are going to spend the same amount of time on the softball team, right, guys?
Danny, how about
that was a nail biter, Danny.
The walk-off. ranked opponent, obviously in the Stillwater Invitational. Boy, they got a few tough games ahead of them. I'm very excited about the next few days. I know they're going to play Oklahoma State. Obviously, I'm forgetting the other opponents off the top of my head. I really am. So I apologize. But a good ranked win over Northwestern, a walk-off win, man, 7-0 to get the start. They've been dominant. Yeah,
You had the Grand Slam in there as well
the Grand
today.
Slam. So they do play Oklahoma State next. They play them tomorrow, and it's been moved. It's very early, 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Oklahoma State number 6,
And then
Washington. 5.
And then
Woo, that's brutal.
Minnesota. Then you play Minnesota. Now, that one's not as tough, but
both of those games are tomorrow.
I knew it was another tough.
It's going to be a LSU packed Saturday.
Yeah, you're going to have 2 softball games. You're going to have the baseball game, and you're going to have the men's basketball game.
Oh, gosh. That's a lot.
So, yeah. Zach,
I don't know if I'll be able to catch all of them. That's going to be wild.
Yeah. But, Zach, my prediction is a super regional out. That's what I'll say for now. Obviously, I hope for better. But that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I really, really think, Zach, that you're looking at next year saying that team can win it all. I mean, you're talking about guys like Jake Brown having another year under his belt, Paxton Kling being a junior, Gavin Guidry being a junior, Brady Neal being a junior. Yeah, Bear Jones is a draftable sophomore. That's what really stinks.
Well, Paxton Kling's a draft eligible sophomore as well.
That too. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we'll see how it plays out. But if they decide to stick around, Paxton Kling, Bear Jones, I would say next year you're certainly looking at a potential championship team. I think they have the ability to do it this year. I really do. Zach, there's one guy though before we get to baseball, and he's probably not going to play as much this year just because of Michael Braswell. But
Milam?
Stephen Milam, dude, I am very high on Stephen Milam, however you pronounce it. I have no idea. Somebody tell us how you pronounce Stephen's
I think it's
last
Milam,
name.
but I could be wrong.
But man, that brother looks good. He looks really, really stinking good. I'm excited about him. I really am. The spring is jam-packed with sports. Absolutely. Inexperience and need chemistry on baseball team. Not time to overreact, but was not convinced today over concerns I had going in particular Barrett first. That I'm glad you mentioned that, Danny.
That's pretty good.
There were 2 plays that would not have happened. There were 2 plays that happened. 2 plays that happened today that probably would not happen if Trey Morgan was there. 2 plays. Now, one of them was not Bear's fault. The pickoff that went past him, I can't remember which pitcher it was, but it was on the pitcher. It wasn't on Bear. He threw it behind the runner, so Bear had to go around the base runner to try and get it. It was just way.
I think that was Lohr. I could be wrong. It was either Lohr or Ackenhausen. I can't
remember.
One
of them, yeah.
But it wasn't Bear's fault. Doesn't happen though either. I don't think that happens either if Trey's over there.
No, and then of course the throw that none of them was solely on Bear. Neither of them was solely on Bear. The other one was Michael Braswell. Bear could have made the play and it not gone past him, but the throw was a little. It was not the best throw. It wasn't the best throw.
Morgan and Jones is like Tesla to Toyota Corolla.
Hey, don't be hating on Corolla. Toyota can go a long way.
Maybe like Tesla to like Honda Civic.
Something like that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, but
I ain't out here saying he's a Camaro or a Mustang, but But I will agree, I will agree, Morgan. Yeah, Tesla. Yeah.
Yeah, those don't happen if Trey's there. I mean, that's just
Well, we mentioned this, Reagan. We mentioned this. You gotta tamper your
yes,
expectations.
you can't make Bear Jones.
Not that you are Danny
Yeah,
girl,
not
but
saying you are Danny Girl, but
yes,
absolutely. Not saying you are, but the reality is Trey Morgan is probably the best defensive first baseman that college baseball has ever seen. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody play baseball at first base like Trey Morgan. I
no,
just
I definitely never have.
never. You normally have someone like Bear Jones who's a thumper, just catching ground balls.
Yeah, like Bear Jones is prototypical first baseman.
Yeah, absolutely. And he can do what he did today, put one in the bleachers for a 3-run bomb.
This is a good question though that she asked Reagan. She said, "Why did he pull Milazzo for Neal?" I think you're going to see a lot of that this year. I think you're going to kind of see a rotation there between those two guys. We know that Neal has the bat. I will say though, with how Milazzo was playing, I mean, he had the sharp base hit up the middle, and then he had the liner straight to the third baseman, and that was his two at bats.
Yeah,
I think,
any of
or
the
am I?
two throwouts were great as well.
Yeah. So I was maybe a little like, okay, why'd he pull him there? Because he's looked really good. I would have probably more understood if he was over, or something like that. But I thought that he looked really good. I thought Milazzo looked really good. I think they're just trying to get a rotation there and give Brady Neal opportunities to get at bats because we know what Brady Neal can do as far as at the plate goes.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of that, like Zach was saying. I just both of them are. I would say Neal maybe gets the edge when it comes to the offensive side, and you probably give Milazzo the edge on the defensive side. So it's like
This is true. This is true as well because of the pitching changes.
yeah, it could be because of the pitcher as well. Absolutely.
Ryan also
Absolutely.
said Corollas are and
They
Civics are
are.
some of the most
I
dependable
agree,
cars.
Ryan. I agree.
I have a
They are.
Civic. I got a Civic, man. It's awesome. I love it. It's great. Never gives me any issues.
I
Anyways,
actually want a Corolla. That's like something I would, or Camry, one of the two, Toyota Corolla. Or,
Al's also in here. He says, "Hey guys, great to see you once again. Thank God LSU baseball is back."
Amen, Al. Amen. We're glad it's back too.
That's right. Well,
So,
with that, I think we should take a break. Unless you got something else.
yeah, no, that's it. Baseball wise, Zach, we'll go ahead and hit a quick break. We'll come back and we'll discuss hoops and maybe looking forward to what they have ahead of them after this.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
Right back at it here in the Tigers Avenue. Zach, the girls kind of have a week off. This entire week they played and won. Oh man, I'm drawing a complete blank on who they played.
They beat Bama. They came back
beat
against
Bama. Yes, they came back on Bama and beat Kim Mulkey's old friend over there. And they've kind of had the week off, and I believe they start back up on Sunday. Is that correct, Zach?
So their next game is actually, I believe, on Monday. They play
Right.
Texas A&M Monday.
Yes. So they've kind of had the week off, kind of like the men had a while back. So reality is that the men's is what we got to talk about here. LSU men's basketball, Zach. I don't know if you watched it.
Heartbreaker.
Oh my god.
Another heartbreaker.
I cannot stand the fact that McMahon he cannot gain the respect that he deserves. I feel like it's like nobody's willing to give it to him. I'll give it to him, but man, they played Alabama the other day really stinking good.
And they just got away. Yeah,
they got away to him at the end. They played them really good, toe to toe. The best offense probably in the country in Alabama. Toe to toe, they went with them. and then they go on the road to Gainesville. This stretch is just golly. At Tennessee, Bama at home, at Florida. Tomorrow you got to play at South Carolina, the 11th ranked team in the country, and then you got to turn around and play Kentucky.
Yeah,
it is brutal. It's just absolutely brutal.
And there's not many teams that might be arguably the toughest 5-game stretch. It probably is the toughest 5-game stretch in the country.
Golly, it's just and when you go through something like that, a stretch like that, to steal a game like at Florida just would have been so uplifting for this team. They were down big, and man, they fight like heck to get back. The team that is a characteristic of Matt McMahon's teams, is that they just don't quit playing. They don't give back. They don't give up. And they were down 20 in the second half. In the second half, they were down 20.
Yeah.
Fought all the way back, and man, did they have an opportunity at the last shot to win it, to tie it. I thought that Jordan Wright was fouled on the putback, but the reality is he had a wide open shot and just short armed it. I think Jordan was surprised at how wide open he was, and was just like, "Oh gosh," and just was like, "I got to get it off. I'm so wide open," and just in that reaction, short armed it. And then got the rebound and went for the putback, and I really think he was fouled on the putback. But just in the moment, it was so last second, and it happened so quickly. I also understand why the refs missed it. It just feels like they're on the cusp of being a team that's competing within the top 5 of the SEC, the top 4. You think about it, they started their SEC schedule 3-1. And if you go back and let's say they win that game against Texas A&M, and they win that game against Georgia that they lost in the last second to at Georgia, and let's say they steal that Florida game, that changes their SEC record from 4-7 to 7-4. Like this margin. They're this close from the record being 4-7 to 7-4. They're so stinking close. And Matt McMahon has dudes coming in that he is building, that he is working with, that I think once he has, the guys that he's recruited, the guys that is bringing, and it's really his program, I think he will be a successful coach at LSU. I really do. You see the mentality of his players. Like Danny Girl is saying, they're scrappy, they're gritty. They just don't quite have the talent to be there yet. To be entirely.
The experience is there. They just don't have the talent as well.
That's right.
They don't have the talent and the experience.
Yeah. And man, it pops every now and then. It pops. Jordan Wright will pop off for like a 25 night. Will Baker will pop off for like a 30 piece. Jalen Cook will pop off randomly. And it just, that's the reality of the situation, is he had to scrap things together. And it feels like really this is his year 1. And he had to restart again and put this back together. And when you hit the portal the way that Matt McMahon has had to hit the portal, the chemistry maybe not quite there. The talent maybe not quite there. But the reality is, if you look at what Matt McMahon is doing in his high school recruiting, guys, he has good players coming in. If you have been watching the growth of Mike Williams is what Matt McMahon can have this program to be one day.
Yeah.
Right? Mike Williams is Matt McMahon's guy. He came in with Matt McMahon's recruiting. He's come in and trained with Matt McMahon and his staff, and you have seen the steps that Mike has taken from having to start as point guard because Jalen Cook wasn't eligible to now where he's contributing really important minutes to the team, and he's matured, and he doesn't look like a freshman anymore. And I'm telling y'all, man, Corey Chest is going to be phenomenal next year. He's going to be a freak. And you have Curtis Givens coming in. And like he's eventually this is going to come together. I really feel like it's going to come together with him. But I'm hoping the fans will give him the benefit of the doubt. I just they're not though right now. They just aren't. And I get it. It stinks to watch your team lose, but it feels like it's right there, Zach. It really does.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I understand for fans, like it's disheartening at times because even like it's a positive and a negative. Like when you're talking about being this close, right? Because you're like, okay, the program's moving forward and things are getting better than what they were, but also it's heartbreaking because you're like, oh, because you have so many heartbreaks. I mean, you have the Texas A&M game, you have the Georgia game, you have the Florida game. You know, you just have those games where it's like, and if we just could have had one extra possession or a few seconds left on the clock, like maybe we could have pulled this off. And as you said, your record could have potentially been going from 4-7 to 7-4. Yeah. But the reality is they're just not quite there right yet. I mean, this is a perfect example, Reagan. I mean, they're just not quite there, right? Yeah. So, it's going to have to be a patient waiting. Let's wait to see how the rest of this year plays out. Let's wait to see what next year looks like in year 3 under McMahon, and also when he has mostly all of his guys that he has recruited and developed in the program. So I think year 3, year 4 is going to be a lot better understanding of what Matt McMahon can do with this LSU program. And so it's just gonna have to be a wait and see type situation for the LSU fans. And I understand at times it's discouraging, but you have to understand the reality of the situation that LSU is coming out of.
Yeah. Also, your schedule right now is rough. The back half of this is a lot lighter. They could wind up being 500 in SEC play. And the reality is, compared to last year, that's a massive jump. It's a massive.
You won 2 SEC games last year. Two.
You've won 4 so far, and you've got a lot more to play. So, look, you're probably going to lose again tomorrow. I hate to say that. I hope they go into Columbia and beat South Carolina. I really do. But Lamont Paris has South Carolina playing really well. I mean, they're number 11 in the country. They're number 11 in the country, and you're going into their house. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Maybe they can get through this stretch and come out on the other side with some victories and fight towards 500.
After South Carolina, after Kentucky, you have home against State, home against Georgia. Yep. You go to Vanderbilt, you go to Arkansas, and you have home against Missouri. I mean, you can legitimately win all 5 of those games at the end of the season. So, maybe you can pull out one of these games against South Carolina, Kentucky.
Well, if you lose those 2 games and then turn around and win the back half,
you're 9-9.
You're 9-9. You're 9-9. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think LSU has the potential to still be at 500 in the league. It's going to be really hard. I mean, it's going to be tough.
It would have been really nice to steal that Florida game.
Yeah.
If they would have, So
we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. All right, guys. It's been a great show. LSU Tiger baseball is back. Tomorrow you get to watch another one. Lots of sports playing tomorrow. Big time day for softball. 2 top 10 matchups for the Tigers. Let's see what the Lady Torinas can do.
Let's before we wrap up, Reagan, I say we go and hit maybe just a few more comments. Maybe I'm missing some.
Yeah, I think there is some in here. Maybe
I know Danny Girl's been blowing us up. She said women's basketball has Texas A&M and then Auburn the get back game. I really hope that LSU women's can steal that one back because that was kind of a punch in the gut, that game at Auburn that you lost. We owe them, but I know we have to talk about baseball, men's basketball. Not that I'm judging or anything. Yeah, true. She also elated to, you know, being kind of this close with the men's basketball. Watching the men's team is like, oh my gosh, I'm turning this off. It is too painful. But before you switch it, they turn it on and have you hooked until the last second on the clock.
Very true. Literally the other night. Literally what happened the other night.
Anyways.
Appreciate you, Danny Girl, for being in here, being active, and Ryan and all you guys. Appreciate y'all watching. Tiger baseball is back. Softball, big day tomorrow. Hopefully we get maybe Zach, maybe just maybe we can go 4-0 tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That would be amazing.
That'd be a great day.
If LSU goes 4-0 tomorrow, that's really good. That's
a great day.
It's gonna be really, really, really good for the
especially
softball.
If the softball team goes 2-0.
Absolutely. We'll see what Beth Torina and the Lady Tigers can do tomorrow against top competition. Get to look at Luke Holman, the new Tiger from Alabama, and we'll see what the men's can do in Columbia against the Gamecocks. Appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you next time here in the Tigers Avenue. 5-star, who take us out? Peace.